Hello everybody, it is the 11th of September 2020 and my name is Suki Klair. Tonight, or this evening, or this morning, whatever the time of day it is where you are, let's have a conversation. The conversation is going to be around the title of this talk, which is My Life is Like a Dry Cracker. What a title. It's actually from a reading that I did at because I'm an angel card reader. I'm an intuitive. I'm a qualified counselor, writer, artist. I channel a little bit, channel interdimensional beings. I have a very, very busy life, as we all do. And it comes a time in your life where you feel that you've lost yourself. What happened to me? What happened to my needs? And this is where this title for this talk came through. As I was saying, I was at a major show, Mind, Body, Spirit show in London, and we were being booked, clients who wanted to have a reading with us. And I always tend to use angel card readings, so I work very intuitively. And as I was sitting there, it was getting on towards the middle of the day. This lady come and stood at my desk, at my table, shall we say, and she just stood there. And I looked up at her. I said, "Hello, can I help you?" And she said, "I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing here." I said, "That's okay. Just have a seat. We don't have to be doing anything particular. Just pretend you're having a coffee with an old friend you haven't seen for a while." So, she sat down and she was very nervous. She was very fiddling with her bag, fiddling with her jacket. And I could tell that she was uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable sitting at my table, but uncomfortable in her skin, uncomfortable in herself. Feeling that she couldn't really connect with herself. So we got talking, and normally we have a set time with clients. For some reason, set time did not exist in our interaction that day. So she started telling me about her life, because we've got to start somewhere. So tell me about yourself was usually my first question when I get somebody who's nervous and they're not quite sure what a card reader, an angel card reader, a tarot reader, a psychic. Am I going to sit there and read her mind? Am I going to tell her something horrendous, something bad, something's going to die, which should never happen, by the way. But no, we just started a conversation. So she told me about her life, how she'd been married for a while and she had 2 lovely children. Life was on the outskirts. When people looking in, life was really good for her. So why did she feel so empty inside? Why did she feel so disconnected from herself? A husband who never saw her, a husband who never acknowledged her, a husband who never had any reaction to her. Doesn't matter what she did, whether she had a haircut, whether she bought a new dress, whether she baked him his favourite meal, it would be eaten in a hurry while he was working, while he was on his phone, while he was on his computer, and then he'd go and bury himself in the office, home office. So he'd come from work and do that at home. So where was their togetherness? So as she sat there and spoke about her life, she got very emotional, and she started to apologize. I don't cry. I just don't cry. I don't know what I'm crying for, but it's okay. It's okay to allow yourself and you allow your emotions when they come up. Don't put a plug on them. Don't sit on them. Don't try and bury them even further, because you need to give yourself permission to allow your emotions to come through. So she sat there and she was again explaining what was going on in her life, and she felt that she wasn't seen. So I said to her, do you feel invisible? Yes. Do you feel overlooked? Yes. Do you feel like you are a ghost living in your home, where who does all the housework, the cooking, the cleaning, the running around with the kids, but nobody sees you? Yes. Do you feel like you are a walking shell, that you don't actually exist on the outside or on the inside, and you have completely lost that connection to yourself? Yes. How did you know? She said. I understood where she was, and that's where the infamous phrase came out. Your life is like a dry cracker. And that wasn't said in a insulting way or a demeaning way. It was said as to have some impact in her emotional state, so she can visualize a plain dry cracker, which is not very appetizing. It's rather taste of nothing really, if you've ever had dry crackers. That there's nothing appealing about a dry cracker, and this was what her life was like. So I was trying to compare the analogy between this dry cracker and her life. So as we continued the conversation, it turned out that she had completely switched herself off from any form of joy and happiness and love and self care, because she was so desperate for her husband to see her in a particular way. But as I explained to her, if you do not see yourself in anything other than somebody who does not exist, how do you expect your husband to see you? Your first priority, and this is a priority for all of us, is to have some time in the day where we acknowledge ourselves, where we give ourselves some sense of love, connection, and understanding. So as we progressed the conversation and we got onto the kind of things that she wore, I said to her, I bet your wardrobe's full of beige and greys and blacks. And she said, oh, I just live in black. I don't wear any other colour but black. And black to me, when somebody says that, it's they are in mourning of their. There's nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with wearing the colour black. But and if you can wear that colour, that little black dress, as the saying goes, to make yourself feel sexy, ladies, and to make yourself feel like you are a woman. But when you start to use the colours to bury yourself under this distress that you are in, because you have no love in your life, you cannot feel love, you have no passion in your life, you have no meaning in your life, you have no connection to yourself in your life, then the colors that we tend to wear tend to mimic and tend to mirror the mood that we are in. So she was hiding herself under these drab colors because that's how she felt. She felt her life was very drab. So the first piece of advice I gave to her was, start introducing some color into your life. Go and get yourself a nice colorful scarf, purple, pink, orange, green, turquoise. There's yellow. There's some just beautiful colors out there that nature shows us. When nature shines in spring, when nature is in bloom, how can you not notice the majesty of the colors out there? Is that it? Is that going to fix my life? No, because that's just the start. That's just the beginning. You need to acknowledge, you need to bring the life force back into your life. Start with the colors that you wear, start with the clothing that you wear. So now, this dry cracker, we start to add things onto that dry cracker. We start to add, as I said to her, things and that are going to make her feel like she has come to life again. So she spoke about her husband, how the neglect of her as a woman, she was neglecting herself. So then once we got on to the real reason as to why she felt so disconnected from her husband and why she felt he didn't see her, we started to get down to the root cause of the problem, or what was actually making her feel so unwanted and empty. It was nothing to do with the husband. It was to do with the fact that, and this is very true to especially women, and I'm not discounting any gentlemen out there, any men out there who can take this conversation and connect with this conversation. That, but it is especially with women who feel that they cannot say no to anybody in their life. They cannot say no to their children. They cannot say no to their parents. They cannot say no to work colleagues. They cannot say no to family. Their entire lives and day and hours and minutes are filled with activities and things and demands of other people. So they start to wither from within. They start to lose that connection with themselves, and they start to feel emptier and emptier and emptier because they start to diminish within themselves. They shrink, and when they do not feel they exist, whether they feel they don't exist from within or whether they don't exist in the physical space because nobody's acknowledging them. Yes, mom always does the shopping, mom always does the ironing, the uniforms are always ready at the end of the bed miraculously on a Sunday night when the kids get up to go to school. You know, the lunches are packed, everything is in order because she is are at such demands of other people's expectations of her. She had no expectations of herself. So when you have no expectation of yourself as a person, how do you expect other people to acknowledge you, to see you in the way that you want to be seen, if you cannot see and acknowledge yourself? So the next thing I said to her was, start to find time every day when you do something for yourself. And it can be as simple as making yourself a cup of tea, putting on a piece of music that you like, that you haven't listened to for a while, and just sitting there in your quiet space without interruption. Let the rest of the family know this is my time. This is my 10 minutes, my 30 minutes that I want for myself because I'm taking my time back. And this is about introducing the word no into her vocabulary. Stop saying yes to everything. Stop being available to everyone and start being available to yourself, for yourself. Now you might be sitting there thinking, well, how's that going to help? How is 5-10 minutes a day, sitting there listening to a piece of music or having a cup of coffee or a tea, how is that going to help that woman to feel as if she's coming to life again? And my response to that would be, you do not lose yourself overnight. It is a process that can go back years and years and years. And if you start to go back to when you first started to be that yes person, when you first started to be accommodating to everybody, and you started to put your own needs and your own wants to the one side, and they have got your own needs and wants are buried under so much dust, because once you put them to one side, you never stopped pleasing people, you never stopped saying yes, and you forgot about yourself. So once you start to take the dust off the things that you wanted to do, and start picking up your the loves of your life when you were perhaps say younger, shall we say gardening, artwork, listening to music, knitting, whatever it is, writing, drawing, whatever it is that used to bring you joy, that you put to one side because you felt that you don't have time to do it anymore. Make time. That is the first permission that you need to give yourself, is I am making time for me. I am making time for myself because I am important. Until you see yourself as somebody who is important, somebody who has a right to be happy, somebody who has a right to be joyful, to utilize and use their time to make themselves feel wanted and needed and grateful for what their life is. Nobody else is not going to do it for you. All of these times that you have said yes when you've actually wanted to say no, start saying no. There's no need to be rude or anything, because you're thinking, well, that's just being selfish. How is that being selfish? Ask yourself, how am I being selfish by saying no? I want some of my time for me. And she sat there and she said, well, I don't know when I'm going to find time. Okay, talk me through an average day. And it was, oh, okay, well, I take the kids to school and then I do this and then I do that and then I do this and then I have to do this and then so and so wants me to do this and then I need to do this and then so and so calls me and then I drop everything and I need to do this. So I listened to her roll off everybody else's demands of her, everybody else's needs of her, everybody else's wants of her. So when she stopped and I said, there was not one thing on that list that you have just rolled off of the top of your head that I could hear that you did for you. And she said, yes, but it brings me joy when I do things for the kids. Yes, it does bring you joy, but the joy that you need, that is the joy as being a mother. But what about you? Where are you in your day? Where do you exist? And she sat there, well, I suppose I could. I don't know. She couldn't answer the question. And I guarantee you, some of you watching this will be saying, well, yeah, actually, I do not have time in my day to do things that I want to do. So then, again, going back to my life is like a dry cracker, I said to her, start putting things on your cracker that you like doing. So the analogy is, you might like a bit of cottage cheese, you might like some pineapple on it, you might want some cherries on it, you might want whatever you want to add onto that dry cracker to make it more palatable, to make it more tastier, shall we say, for your life to have more joy, for you to sit there and enjoy that cracker with all of these fillings on it. You need to start adding things that you like, that you want to do, that brought you joy. It can reignite those passions. So then she sat there and said, so would you be able to do that? Well, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to fit anything in, because my day is full. My day is, I have so much to do. I'm exhausted at the end of the day. I'm not surprised you're exhausted at the end of the day, because you are so accommodating. You are such a yes person, and that you are disabling people around you. When you are accommodating, when you are that yes person, when you are doing everything for all your loved ones around you, you are not really helping them. You are actually disabling them. You're disabling your children from learning how to iron that shirt. You're disabling your partner from learning how to cook a meal. When you are not giving them the opportunity because you're in the way, I'll do that for you because I know you're not going to do it the way I want to do it. So you are robbing yourself of that time. And sometimes it is about letting go of that control, because we feel that in life we have to have as much control as we can get, because if we don't, then things aren't going to work out. I'm not going to be satisfied with the way the dishes are washed, or I'm not going to be happy with the way things are done because I like to do them in a particular way. Stop it. Because you are not helping yourself and you are not helping anybody else around you. And that's not me being judgmental or me saying to you that you need to be more, you need to start saying no to everything. You know, start with small things. Take a little bit of your time back in the day, because it is doable. So we made this agreement that this is what she would do. So she was writing down all the notes and everything that was being said. And I got her to do a list of things, very, very simple things, you know, wearing colour, introducing colour into her wardrobe, throwing away some of her, what she said were drab clothes that absolutely drowned her, you know, wearing things that brought out her feminineness, her womanliness, that she could actually feel as if she was bringing life back into herself. And then we started the conversation about well, when is she going to find the time, and saying no to certain things that she didn't actually need to do, but people were reliant on her to do, but they could actually do themselves. So that brought some of her time back. And then it was a question of, well, what kind of things did you like, did brought you joy? Oh, I used to love going for walks, but I don't have time anymore. Then make time. Oh, I used to love dancing, but my husband doesn't like to go dancing. Well, you don't need to take him along with you. Go and join a club. Go and do some activities that are going to make you feel that I am actually looking after myself, that I am actually, you know, trying. And it's just little things, baby steps. As I said, you do not get to that point of that emptiness overnight. So off she trotted after this, looking at me thinking, well, this is never going to work, you know, all of these things that she's told me. And I could see that she was very doubtful of any changes, however desperate she was to make, to have those meaningful changes in her life, where she felt that her husband saw her, where her kids actually acknowledged her, where she felt that she wasn't this drab country mouse. But she had to start with herself. So anyway, lo and behold, a year later, I'm back at the same show, and I'm just sort of looking through my phone, and I could sense this person standing in front of me. And I looked up and I looked at her and I thought, she looks familiar, but I don't know where I've seen her before. This beautiful looking lady in this lovely pink dress with a purple scarf around her neck, and, you know, lovely pieces of jewelry, and really vibrant, full of, she felt like she had this sense of ownership. She owned herself. She had this vibrant life force energy about her. So I looked up at her and I said, hello, can I help you? She goes, you don't remember me, do you? And I looked at her and I thought, I do know her, but I just couldn't, because you see that many people, I just couldn't put her face to when I'd seen her and at what capacity I'd seen her. And she turned around and said, well, my life is not like a dry cracker anymore. And I thought, oh gosh, I said, I am so sorry. I hope that phrase didn't insult you. And she said, it was absolutely perfect because it made her think about the things that we had said. And every time she felt like she was she was being dragged back into old habits, she would think of that phrase, my life is like a dry cracker. So I looked at her and I said, you look absolutely fabulous. And I said, I love the colours you are wearing. And she sat down and she'd started to tell me about how her life had changed in the 12 months from when I saw her before. And she had started with the simple things, in the simple things that she could change, that she had actually control over. She said she went home that day and she looked at her wardrobe and she said she emptied nearly half of it, and she took her daughter on a shopping spree. And the colours that she did not bring home were the black and the beiges and the greys. And she said, I started to bring the colour back into my life as I had suggested. And she said, I got my hair done, you know, I regularly go and do things for me. And it showed. And she said, and slowly that emptiness in her soul, that emptiness that she felt within her, started to become less empty. And she said about 6 months down the road, after she'd started to make these little changes, and she started to be unavailable for people, and she started to have a new set of friends that she would go out with, and she would go to different classes, and she'd start to do yoga, really thinking about, how am I honoring myself? How am I looking after myself? How am I seeing me? Am I treating me good? Am I treating myself well? Am I treating myself as a queen, shall we say? So 6 months down the road, one evening, her husband looked up at her and actually noticed her and suggested they went out for dinner, which she said she nearly passed out. Hasn't happened in a long time. And she felt that he actually saw her in a long time. And as she sat there telling me, her eyes welled up and she said, I understand what you meant when you said to me, my life is like a dry cracker, and I have the power and the control to put whatever I want on that cracker and make my life meaningful for me, bring the joy back into my heart, bring the help me to connect to myself again. And it was just such simple little steps. And she said when she had that chat with me the year before, and she was saying, I'll be honest with you, she goes, when I left, I thought, well, that was a waste of money. How's that going to help me? But she said, I'll try it, because I've tried everything else. If it fails, it fails. You know, it doesn't matter, because she had resigned to the fact that because she had been feeling so empty for such a long time, that's how the rest of her life was going to be. And when she started to make these little changes in her life, she said she was really surprised how much of a big difference they made in her. Just simply introducing colour back into her life, colour that she wore. Psychologically, colour can have a huge impact. I mean, I'm no colour expert, but I love wearing colour, and it brings a certain inner light out, so that when you are feeling a little bit down that day, you know, wearing notice when you're wearing certain colors how your mood matches what you pick out of the wardrobe. So she said, I wouldn't say it was all 100% fixed, but she said, I do not feel that my life is like a dry cracker anymore. And she said, she was saying, well, she goes, I tend to put all sorts of fancy things on my cracker these days, things that I never even considered would go with my life that I have introduced. And she said, there has been a change in her relationship, not just the change in her relationship with her husband, but the most significant change that she was the most grateful for was the change that and the relationship that she had with herself. So try it. If you feel your life does not have meaning for you, it does feel like it is a bit like a dry cracker, start taking small steps. Evaluate the things that are making you feel that you are not honoring yourself, you are not looking after yourself, you are not listening to that little voice inside that says, that's not good for you. Why do you keep doing that? Listen to that voice that says, you need a rest. You need to put yourself first. That is not being selfish. That is actually being selfless. Because if you don't look after yourself, you will find very quickly that you lose meaning in your life. You lose that joy that brings you that inner smile. So I hope that you've enjoyed this conversation tonight, because that is one of those little stories in that interaction that I had with that lady that for me was so rewarding, and especially when she came back the year after and she stood in front of me, this beautiful, vibrant lady who'd actually reignited that connection within herself, making those small changes in her life made a huge difference to her. So go ahead, give yourself permission, and let me know how things go for you. Let me know how they making those little changes, and what kind of changes you made helped you to fill that emptiness that you might be feeling on the inside. And I wish you luck and love and blessings, and thank you very much.